How's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Sunday live stream where we talk about photography and catch up on what's new and what we've been up to. I guess it's a wonderful little community. I'm very proud to have helped put together. It's it's one of the reasons I do the live streams is I like to see what everybody's been up to. So just leave in the comments what you've been shooting and maybe anything new you'd like to share, photography related, of course, but. Um, For me, I guess I've been, I wouldn't call it an epiphany, right, in photography, but I am starting to see a path to taking more pictures that I like, and I'm dying to get out and shoot, but I've been kind of busy with um, photo jobs and some other things, and so that's a good thing, I guess. Um, but I wasn't really happy with the photos I took. Um, I actually did a residential property and I wanted to do a vlog of the residential and I started doing the vlog, but I was a little bit short on time because when I vlog any of my photo jobs, it adds an extra 30 minutes to an hour um to actually completing the work. And I just didn't have the time. So unfortunately, I couldn't vlog, but it's rare that I get a residential property. But it's honestly, it's not too different than a commercial property when the place is empty. Uh, other than the spaces are a lot smaller, right? You're talking about rooms that are maybe, you know, what, 8 by 9, whatever that is in square feet. It's not even 100 square feet, right? If it was 10 by 10, it would be, yeah, you're talking about very small rooms. Uh, under 100 square feet on average, right? Well under in some cases. In other cases, you might get a space that's like 400 square feet. And this was just a normal sized townhome. Overall, it added up to about 2,200 square feet, and it's going to sell for like a half a million for for something way out in the boonies. It's just crazy. I just can't believe the prices of housing in this area. If you want to live somewhere where it's relatively quiet, um, I guess it's in demand. But you know, I'll show you a couple of pictures from that job. The client was really happy. She thought they were awesome, and the owner of the property also really liked them. He said, "I made the place look better than it actually is." It's I would say it's sort of my average when I do jobs in terms of the quality of work that I do. But that property had a lot of not a lot, but it had a few challenges. Um, I mean, the good thing was that the walls and everything were very neutral, just white ceilings, off-white walls, white trim. But the only problem is with properties like that, or the problem with this specific property was the flooring. There was a lot of wood floors, which cast off like this red orange kind of tint on everything. And that's that's really hard to deal with in post processing. I mean, I can deal with it, right? But then when I correct for the tinting, I have to correct for the color of the wood floor as well, so that it looks right. Because when you do residential properties, um, I feel like that getting the colors right is extremely important. Um, so I do my best to get the colors as accurate as possible. And on commercial properties, they have all different colored walls, and it has some challenges of its own. But I'm not as concerned about the color, right? Because most of the buyers or renters or leasees of those properties are going to just gut and refit it anyway. They're not going to use it as is. They just want to see the space, basically. So it's a little bit easier to process commercial property when it comes to color. But residential property, I like to compare it to product photography. Like if I'm buying this shirt online and I see the color of this shirt online, I want it to be the same color when I get it here in person, right? And that's the way I look at residential property is um, it's like a product and you have to represent it as accurately as possible. So that's a problem or skill set that I've overcome. Like I can take care of that for the most part. Uh, but there's some other things I still struggle with time to time, and it's because I don't do a lot of these kinds of properties. I think if I were doing them more regular, I would get there. But let me just show you a few pictures. And yeah, I thought I had it pulled up. I'll just show you the ones I delivered to the client if I can. Um, and then I'll show you a commercial property I did. I think I showed you that one already, but oh, I switched screens here. Hold on. Switching screens is still a pain. All right. So this is the residential property, right? And when the space is kind of open like this, it's okay, right? And I I'm not happy with this picture in a lot of ways. It looks a little distorted to me. And also, if you look at the ceiling fan, I was not able to fix the shadows in the ceiling fan because I just haven't honed that skill set in. I mean, I know how to do it and the techniques to get rid of it, but it just takes me too long. Uh, so I just left them there this time, and I said, I need to come back and edit these when I have more time because I had to take the pictures and deliver them the same day. So I didn't have the time to vlog or to edit the pictures the way I really wanted to. Um, Eventually, it wouldn't hurt to have a few more residential properties in my portfolio, and I want to do a good job. So I'm going to go back and re-edit these and post them on my site if I ever. My site is so not updated. It's pretty pathetic. It still has like the about me page still has nothing on it, right? It's just the generic text that comes when you install the WordPress. Um, but yeah, so it's really the shadows here in the ceiling fan, and I don't like this because it makes it look like I used a flash, which as a consumer, as the client, they don't see these things, right? They don't they'll just say, "Oh, this is a great picture." But as a photographer, when I look at them, I know exactly, where there could be improvements in the shot. I'll show you another one. Uh this one here, again, ceiling fan has the shadows, which not a big deal, but I added fake fire to the fireplace. So that's one thing that I do when I do residentials. If there's a fireplace, I put a little fake fire in it. And then the kitchen shot here, all these lights. This light was burnt out. This light was one color, and these lights here were warmer, more tungsten. These were actually uh, tungsten lights. They weren't LEDs, but these were LEDs, and then this was an LED. So lighting was all over the place again in a residential property. Um, it's just a pain in the butt. You have to make sure everything is lit properly. Um, so what ends up happening is I have to overpower the various colors in the room because you don't want yellow lights hitting a wall, and you don't want um, white lights hitting a wall, and then showing a picture, and you got white and yellow lights casting different colors onto the furniture and other fixtures around the house. it just looks amateurish to me when I see that personally, right? Um, but this is a good example of, getting the colors here correct along with the floor. It these are tough to do, and it just comes with time where you start to start to get a feel for the color because every if you notice the color here, all the colors match from room to room. And I made a mental note that the wood flooring on every floor was exactly the same color. Because sometimes it can be confusing when you go to one floor to the next and they use different color wood floor. And then when you go back into post processing, if you don't remember that, you might spend too much time trying to correct the color. um, this bathroom shot came out pretty good. My angle is a little bit too high. I should have been a little bit lower because I'm getting a little bit of distortion here on the toilet seat. But again, not a big deal, right? But I did a good job with the lighting here, and you can see the lighting. It's not blown out. Meaning you can see the lighting fixtures because a lot of times, if you just take an ambient shot or even do an HDR shot, the ambient lighting of the fixtures, the lighting itself is blown out, and you can't see the details of the light itself. So you can see that this is a mirrored chrome along with 4 lights. So that was good. And then you can see the window here. Of course, you can see outside, so the window wasn't overexposed. It was exposed properly. I always like to have it a little bit lighter than usual, but it was, this bathroom came out really well. And this was a problem. This I did a sky replacement. It didn't come out great, but it's good enough for listing, right? But this frickin' tree was covering the entire front of the house. So I had to come off at this angle, and you can see my eye level is right here about on the first floor. And I do that by just holding the tripod over my head as high as I can and taking a picture, right? Um, and this again, this was actually I had to get a little bit lower and move over to the left, and then I did sort of a perspective correction to make it look like I was more straight on than I actually was. Uh, but again, you can see the tree here. If I were to stand up straight, that tree would be covering more of the front of the property, and that's always a pain. Um, and this shot here, let me show you. This was a hard shot for me. Um, because you see all these little nooks and crannies, and then this kitchen all the way in the back here, and the windows and the flooring. I was not able to fix the reflection here on the flooring and the lighting here on the sides of the walls. I tried, but this is a tungsten light here, even though it's an LED that was casting off a yellow light, and you can see it a little bit. There's a slight color shift from here before we go back to here because this was also tungsten lighting or yellow lighting coming down on the floor. But this light here, it's actually because it's LED. I don't know why, but there's a slight green and yellow tint here, and that was a pain to fix. Um, I just used a brush and desaturated a little bit, then shifted the hue to try to get it right. But overall, I did an okay job. These are the smaller bedrooms. These are like 500 or 600 square feet. Very, very small, but I did a good job with the windows, making sure they weren't blown out. And just to give you a feel for, let me see if I can find uh, let's see, it's this one here. I'll show you the raw images just to give you an idea of what my starting point was. And make sure I got just raw selected. Okay. Give that a minute to pull up. Um, While that's pulling up, let me see who's checked in here. Tony, good to see you. Plato. David Tellick, good to see you. Sorry we missed you yesterday at the gardens. David's a member of the photo club, and we went out to Meadowlark Gardens. So I took these. Oh, this is pulling up. It's still loading, but I'll talk about the Meadowlark Gardens too, because there's a couple of things. But this is the front of the property. Let me go down here. Why am I still on the front? Oh. That's because I converted these to DNGs. Yeah, I converted this to what I do, my workflow now is I import them in Lightroom so I can add keywords and catalog everything, and then I process them in Photolab 5, right? You know, I add the deep prime denoise, I do um, some other minor corrections, but mainly it's the deep prime, and then I re-export them as DNGs, and that's what I process in Photoshop. All right, so let me go to one of the rooms we were looking at. Make this like here. Here's a this one. This one was exposed +2 EV, right? So I overexposed by by 2 stops. Excuse me. I overexposed by 2 stops so I could get the walls that have sort of a natural light. And then I underexposed by 2 stops to get the windows. And then this is the normal exposure. And I think this is what I ended up using for the final image. But this is the final image, right? So it's not really an HDR shot. It's actually um, a blended image of one of I think I'd used a +2 EV shot along with the a flash shot, which I don't know why that's not showing here. Oh, here's the shot where I use the flash, right? So I take this shot with flash, and then I take the shot with the natural ambient light, and then I sort of blend them together to create this shot. Uh, and you know, I do that all in Photoshop, and then I had to crop in a little bit because I got the door here. But let me go to. I think the kitchen is a good example of where the lighting was just all over the place. Yeah, it's not so obvious here, but you can see these are yellow, and then this is white, and these are kind of in between yellow and white. But this is sort of the flash shot that I did, and then this is the image that I delivered to the client. I had to correct for the color of the floor. 'Cause you can see the color of the floor, see the reflections all over the place, and how dark it is down in here. It took some work, but here's the final one. Um, and I still didn't fix these reflections. Why? But that's what I mean. I'm just not happy with these photos personally. I mean, the clients seem to like them. Where's another shot of the kitchen or anywhere else? Yeah, these were awful. These were flash shots. Here's an ambient shot. You know, again, the lighting here. See the yellow lighting casting onto the wood here? Um, so in the camera, it looks really orange, this wood, when it's not. It's more of a reddish color. So I had to work pretty hard to fix that. Let's look at the living room. Here's the ambient shot of the living room. But you can see actually, yeah, this was tungsten. You can see the yellow. Hopefully you can see that. This yellow casting on the wall everywhere. And some shadows up here with yellow casting. And this wall is the same color all the way around the property. Here's that terrible shine. I had a hard time with that. I think I fixed the shine here. Let me look at the delivered image. This is what I delivered. Yeah, I fixed the shine for the most part, and I got the colors right. But like, look at the terrible shine on the floor here, and then again this yellow tungsten lighting hitting the walls. And then that's not the delivered image. That's the flash shot. Here, where's the delivered image? Did I not? I delivered this. I don't know why it's not showing here. There's a delivered image. Where's the delivered image for this one? I don't get it. Uh, there's this was the normal ambient shot. You let the camera take the picture and this is what you would get. And this is what I see in a lot of real estate listings are pictures like this, maybe with some post-processing. But to me, I would not charge a client for this kind of work because what a lot of photographers do, they just take this image here and then they push the shadows up, maybe apply some things, pull in the highlights a little bit, and then if they're paying attention, they'll do a white balance fix too, right? Like this, like this. And this is what I see in a lot of real estate listings from a lot of other photographers that are paid to do work. And if you compare that to something more like this is not what I delivered, but this is a little bit closer to what I delivered versus what, you see a lot of photography online like this, where the windows are blown out and the floors have all this shine on them. And see how blue the light is here from the outside, and then how yellow the lighting is in here. And then this image here, like I said, this is not the final image I delivered, but I fixed all of the blue casting, the yellow casting, a lot of the shadows. I pulled the windows in. Uh, it's just unbelievable that this is what you see a lot of times online for properties. But anyhow, I thought I'd share with you one of the things I did this week. And let me scroll down. Yeah, there's a lot of variables. Lot of variables to deliver a final product. You can't do it in a single shot like I see a lot of photographers do. White balance is the biggest problem. Ambient light is the other, because you don't want to take a flash picture and make it look like you used a flash. You want to try to make it look as natural as possible. So you have to blend ambient lighting with your flash photography so that the lighting is even, but then still looks natural. And that's why I try to get rid of shadows, right? Especially that one shot. Even this shot here, I have this dip down here in the stairwell case, which was a little bit of a problem as well. But I took care of it for the most part. Where's this is a similar image that I delivered. I'm not too happy with this one, but it worked out. Um, this gives you an idea of the actual see how the floor looks, how orange it is here? And then this orange is reflecting and tinting all of the walls. This ceiling's white, and these walls are gray, right? This carpet is gray, but everything has this like reddish orange tint to it off the floors. And you compare that to what I delivered here, and now the floors are looking more natural wood-like. The walls are white again, and then the windows and all of that. And then this little dip down in here looks pretty good. So overall, this was a decent if you look at the original, like just regular shot. And this is the ambient shot, like at 0 EV. Give it a second to pull up. This is like if you just put the camera in program mode and take a picture, this is what it would look like. And like I said, so many photographers, they just go in there and they push the shadows up. They might add some auto correction stuff, and then they'll do a simple white balance like this. Let me just do a simple white balance. And if I really cared, I would add a little bit of contrast, right? Well, maybe not that much, but uh, maybe pull the highlights in a tiny bit. But then now the photo's starting to look ridiculous, right? So, because the colors are all off. This floor is all red and orange. This tungsten lighting just is casting more yellow light onto the walls and the floor. So it takes several skill sets to get the floor back to its natural color and the walls and everything. Um, I mean, it doesn't take any talent. It just takes certain skill sets in post processing. And once you learn them, you just practice and you'll be okay. Here's the basement. Let's see. It's running slow because I have the computer on low power mode so that the fans don't kick on. Because when I'm streaming, I try to keep the audio as clean as possible. There's an ambient shot. Let's see. I think I have the delivered image here. I don't know why the delivered. Well, I know that the delivered image is in here. Uh, Here's the basement. Yeah, this is the delivered image, right? I did take care of the shadows on this one pretty well, but I was running out of time, so I just skipped it for the rest of the shots. And then if you look here, this is the ambient shot, and this is the delivered image. Well, similar anyway. Um, and if you look this property up, the previous photographer's images are there. 'Cause a lot of times I like to look at the previous, and this is when it was furnished and everything. But yeah, look at that. To me, this is a frickin' train wreck when it comes to look at the ceiling. This ceiling should be white, and then this color is wrong. I know the floor is wrong. It looks a little bit too pale, and definitely the counters are way off. Where's another? This guy didn't even. Oh, they took one picture of the basement. I mean, the property's been repainted, obviously, since I took pictures of it. Like, here's the dining room. But you see what I mean about this yellow cast that the lighting puts off, and then you have this very blue light coming in here, making the floor look washed out, and then over here it looks too rich and too red over in here. Um, So I would give this particular photographer about a C or C plus, uh, for the job that they did. I would give my job maybe a B plus that I did, a B plus. This I would say is like a C or maybe C minus in terms of the work done. Because what they did is, they just did ambient shot. This is probably an HDR shot, right? Where they just did an HDR and then blended them together. And that's how they were able to keep the lighting fairly consistent. But it is much darker on this side, at least by 2 stops. Darker on this side than it is on this side. Same thing here. Look at the windows, totally blown out, casting in a ton of blue light and, tons of shadows on the ceiling. And look at this light here. It's casting this like greenish color onto the walls. This and then look at the shine on the floor here. It's just and just to kind of go back to my images, right? You can see the balance is much better, the colors are more accurate, and there's more consistency image to image, right? There's not this like uh things are just not all over the place compared to like this. Uh, this to me is I just can't believe realtors pay for this. And honestly, they get paid probably the same that I do. If not if maybe a little less, but I doubt it. They probably get because the market here is very competitive. It's hard to charge more or less than anyone else, regardless of the quality of your work. Um, yeah. I mean, I see things like this and I just wonder why would anybody hire this photographer for this kind of property and deliver this kind of work? I just don't get it. So that's what I want to share with you guys today is that I did a residential property and some of the things that I do differently than other photographers. And then some of the areas where I was a little bit crunched for time and need to improve. I need to be able to get rid of shadows much better than I can now. My shadow work, getting rid of like particularly ceiling fans, that work I need to do. I need to work practice more. I mean, I know how to do it and I get there eventually, but it takes too long. And when I had to deliver the images the same day, I just can't I don't have a workflow that I can do that quickly. Um, where's my mouse? That was that. Uh, yeah, the worst ones, as I was saying, I think some of the bad interior photos are actually taken by the property agent shooting the property themselves. That's true, but these images that I just showed were not. These were taken by, let me come back to why I'm very confident that this was taken by a real estate photographer because they got all the lines straight. They're using a very wide angle lens and they're definitely using HDR because otherwise these windows will be completely blown out white. Unless it was a super cloudy day, but it doesn't look like that's the case because look at the shine here on the floor right here. This shine is telling me it was a pretty bright day. If that window is casting that much light onto the floor from that distance, uh, this is a very bright day. So an agent taking a picture with like their iPhone or even a camera, they're not conscious of keystoning or, those perspective distortions. And typically phones don't have this wide of an angle lens. They do now, a lot of them, but typically they don't have this wide angle of a lens. And every photo was taken, except for this one kitchen shot, but every photo was taken roughly, I would say, at about 4 feet off the floor. Um, at about a height of 4 feet. So this table here is probably 3 feet, so they're probably about 1 foot above that where they took this photo. And this was the other thing I would change if I could do mine over again, is my perspective is a little bit too high. Let me give you an example. I mean, this is good example as any. This kitchen. Why isn't this opening up? I gotta There we go. Back to this one. I was standing on the stairs when I took this shot, but this one I was on the tripod. You can see my perspective's much higher than this agent's or this particular photographer's photos. And look at this yellow light, and I know this is casting yellow light over here, but then the windows are bringing in much bluer light, much cooler light, daylight. Uh, Fireplace is not lit. It's just, and then this is like an LED light casting a light here. Oh, just if an agent wanted me to take photos like this, I could be in and out of that property in about 30 minutes, and I could be done post processing in about 30 minutes. But I just as a photographer, look at this. They're asking, well, the estimate is almost $500,000 for 2,100 square feet, and this is way out, man. I had to drive 50 miles. Ugh, it was way out. This was not like in a high rent district. This is a cheap property really for this area. Um, but yeah, a lot of them. What Basil's saying is true though. When you see the really bad photos uh, from the agents, they're from the agent, and I've seen those. They look like they were just taken with an iPhone going around. Yeah, many people don't notice. Yeah, they don't notice all that. Like I seriously doubt anybody looks at real estate photos for more than a couple of seconds, if that, right? They just look at it, okay, good, next, 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 right? Even faster than Instagram. Maybe not, maybe not. Maybe about the same as Instagram, right? They just blink and they look at the photos and blink, they're looking at the next photo. They're not looking at it in detail like this. And when I try to explain to the agent, the difference in the quality of the photos, um, their eyes just glaze over. They could care less. Really, they could care less. But all they want to all they want to do is look at the photo and say, "This looks nice," right? And they can definitely see one photographer's better than another, right? They'll say, "Oh, I like the photos I get from this person more than I like from this person." But they're not going to be able to pick out why, right? Their eyes aren't trained for looking at photos like I do when I take them. Because I have to take them, so I have to have a trained eye for these things, right? Um, I'm just checking in here on the chat. Oh yeah, you're a bit meadowlarked out. I know. Let me talk about Meadowlark Gardens a little bit. I didn't spend too much time taking pictures. What I did was our friend and our mutual friend and organizer of the photo club that I go to here uh, wasn't able to go Saturday, and so I filled in for him as the leader of the group. Leader is not the right word, but one of the organizers, right? And in the description, I added a couple of things that I said I would show you guys how to take flower photography using flash and getting a black background. So I just took a few sample photos for the others, demonstrating how the technique is done. And then I worked with them individually and helped them take uh, pictures using the black background. And some of the and it doesn't even have to be with flash. I brought my little pocket flashlight with me as well, and showed them they could, because it was early morning, right? Just right after sunrise. So there wasn't that much light there, and you can get away with using a flashlight. But of course, I told them if it's broad daylight, you have to use a flash. There aren't too many flashlights bright enough to overpower, daylight. But let me show you a couple of pictures from the group, and I want to talk about the ones that I helped people with. And I'm probably going to sponsor another class next week. Just a mini workshop in the field with the photo club. And I'm going to do some more flash photography in the on in the field. Where's the meetup group here? So this is the photo club I belong to, and so here's one of my shots, right? Nothing special. I took a few shots in the beginning, and these are just my test shots and sample shots of showing people the technique on my camera. And that's after I took like these three shots. Like I took this one, I took this one, I took this one, just to demonstrate the technique. And and then I helped them individually for those that wanted to learn, right? And one person posted a really good picture. See if I can find it. This one here. This one here, I helped them take this photo. Uh, and she didn't have a flash. So I said, okay, just use a flashlight, right? So we used a flashlight and I shined it onto the flower and I told her how to set up the settings and, blah, blah, blah. All the things you do to get a shot like this. And she made this one. And let me see if there's another one. Yeah, this one here. This one here, I wanted to show her. Sometimes you don't want it to be completely black. You want to show a little bit of the environment, right? So I said, okay, just let's adjust the exposure so we have a little more ambient light so that we can see the sunrise, the sky, and a little bit of the flowers and the environment around this one flower. And again, this was just me holding a flashlight onto the flower and helping her with the settings so she can get more of a ambient shot. But I thought this was beautiful, this shot, how it came out. Obviously, there was some post-processing here. I can see, she added a little bit of more light here and probably brushed in a little bit more right in here. But the core shot straight out of camera was primed or set up so that you can easily post-process and get the look and effect that you want. I think she's the only one that posted anything that was. Oh, awesome, Jerry. Jerry Bales is a not Olympus shooter. Um, the challenge I gave was low perspective, right? Because we always have challenges with each time we go out. So I said, let's do low perspectives. So good job, Jerry. Um, and Jerry had a very interesting. I bet this is one of them. Um, he had this dual. He had like this dual flash macro flash where it's like two flashes on the end of the lens, and so he's get very very good even lighting, which I think this is probably one of those shots. That's. I think there's any more. Okay, so that's it. That's one of the other things I did this weekend is I sort of led the photo club and I did a mini workshop. Like I spent like 10 or 15 minutes explaining the technique and the kind of settings. Did a few examples, like the three shots I took there. Those were really the only shots I got. I got a few others that were just, random on the way out. I took a couple of quick snaps, but they were crap. But it really felt good to teach and work with people in person, uh, you know, rather than through a Zoom meeting like I've done. I think I'm doing another Zoom meeting class this week. I have to set that up. Or through videos, like when I'm making tutorials online for the channel. It's not the same as working with somebody live. Like, I met a couple of people there, they recognized me. Like, I was spotted, which is always kinda neat, you know? And she came over and says, "Oh my god, I've been binging for hours on your videos." I'm like, "Oh my god, no, no." But she loves them. She loved my videos. And, so I got to work with her a little bit, showing her how to, do the flower photography. And I was walking on my way out, this guy said, "Hey, you're Rob. I watch your videos on, focus stacking. I'm practicing that right now, actually, on this flower." And it was another Olympus shooter. There's so many Olympus shooters, it's amazing. I don't know if, like, because I'm an Olympus guy that you just somehow your aura, like, attracts or puts you in the vicinity of other Olympus shooters somehow. But I run into so many Olympus shooters, when I'm out, and, but it was kinda neat that he said, "Oh, yeah, I watched your video on stacking, and I'm practicing right now using everything I learned in that." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Uh, so that was kinda fun, and, sorry, I was just reading something David was talking about. Actually, my friend was looking for a house and really examined the photo. Oh, okay. Save them from a trip to see the property if the photos were good. Okay. So people do look at them, I guess. I'll just say the agents don't look at them that closely then. If they did, they wouldn't pay somebody and post those kind of images. I mean, I don't know. I need to put my website together with with the kind of with these kind of comparisons, like an amateur photographer versus a pro. I mean, we're all professionals, right? Because being a professional photographer is more than just charging for your work. It's it's about your I guess the way you do business, your ethics, and the your work ethics, so to speak. And clearly, the photos that I saw from this one photographer, C, like I said, I gave them a grade of a C. I would give mine a B or B plus. Like, I'm just one grade better, but there are definitely some A plus photographers, professional real estate photographers out there that I would love to be able to be at that level. I'm just not, and I don't get enough work, to get to that level, meaning, I don't get enough practice with real property because every property is a little bit different, right? And being able to just walk into a property and consistently deliver excellent images without, you know, breaking a sweat, those are A-level photographers, right? Whereas for me, every time I go into a property, I'm like sweating a little bit. Oh man, how am I going to get this done? How am I going to get the lighting right over here? You know what I mean? I'm sweating a little bit because I don't do it enough. Particularly now, commercial properties, I would give myself an A, right? I would say I'm an A-level commercial property photographer, but residential, I would give myself like a B on average. And it's I'm always breaking a sweat whenever I have to do a residential because of these all these additional challenges um of getting color right. And that's what I think makes me more professional in some ways than other photographers doing the same thing because my work ethic and my level of what I accept as quality work is my standards are higher basically for what I would deliver than someone else. Uh, but anyhow, um, fame at last. Uh, it's always fun to get spotted. Like when I go into a camera store, I kind of expect it, because uh just YouTube is so prevalent in photography when people are searching for gear and thinking about things, I wouldn't be surprised if I was recognized at a photo store, right? Which happens time to time. Like half the time I go to the photography store, I get kind of spotted, but not just randomly in the street. Like I think I told you guys about this one time we just finished breakfast after one of the photo walks and with the photo club. And I was walking back to my car in the garage, and the guy asked me, uh, "How do you get to the whatchamacallit, the IHOP, for breakfast?" And I just told him the same way I came. I said, "Well, you go up here, you walk up to the exit of the garage, and then go around the building and to the front, and then there's an entrance there." And he's like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And he goes, "Oh yeah, and I love your channel. I watch you on YouTube." And I'm like, "Wow, where did that come from?" And he took off. As soon as he took off, I turn around and there's elevators right there that say IHOP, so you just take the elevator up, it takes you right into the IHOP. Versus the way I did it, I kind of walked out through the garage, went around the building to the front. 'Cause from the street, that's where I saw the IHOP, so when I parked my car in the garage, I walked back out to where I saw it on the street. So I felt a little bad after I saw the elevators right there. So my observation skills sometimes, you'd think as a photographer you would have noticed that, right? But I just wasn't I didn't see it. And what's this? Says, "Don't wait for." Oh, God, I need my glasses now. Let me get a little water. I've been talking for a little bit. Mm. Didn't wait for the M5 replacement. Got me a Fuji X100V, and man, oh man, wish I got this camera. Yeah, that's interesting. I've been watching some videos lately on the X100V because one of my viewers recommended a video. Lauren, recommended me watch this video of this guy who was talking about how he was trying to talk his friend out of the X100V and get a Sony. Um, And of course, once you watch one video on X100V, right, YouTube starts suggesting all these other ones. And so I watched a few. And I think Robin just did one about how he sold his X100V. So you can watch Robin Wong's video about why he sold his. Um, and I can tell you a little bit about why I sold mine, right? Because I had an X100F, the previous version. And it's very similar to Robin's story. It just wasn't right camera for me. The pictures were fine, but it just wasn't the right camera for me. I didn't care about the EVF being optical or electronic. You know, I didn't care about that. And but a couple of things was like the IBIS. There's lack of IBIS, which I can get past that, but IBIS was one of the things. It wasn't the deal breaker, but it was definitely a minus for me not having IBIS. The lens was a little soft wide open, which Robin complained about as well. I suppose the X100V has solved that problem. I think they fixed the softness of the lens wide open. So that wouldn't be an issue. But for me, the X100F, that was one of the problems. But Robin said his X100V, I think he said he felt was a little bit soft wide open. But, it's all personal choice. Some people like it a little bit softer wide open, or it's sharp enough, you know, more than sharp enough wide open a lot of times. Uh, but it was the form factor, right? It was just very compact, and there's nothing, and I like compact, but then I couldn't change the lens. Being stuck at that 28 millimeter equivalent or whatever it was a little awkward for me, and I didn't like the controls. Having the aperture. Robin had a lot of the same complaints. He didn't like the controls, so It just wasn't right camera for me, so I returned it and got the Fujifilm X-T30, which, uh, solved the biggest problem for me was the lens, because now I can put any lens I want on it, right? The controls were roughly the same, but it has a little better grip, but I can add a grip. I don't know, I like the X-T30 a lot better personally, than I did the X100V or F that I had. Um, I forget there was some other things. I just don't use the camera enough. It's not a camera I use very much, but I took it out a few weeks ago and it was took terrific pictures and I love the color that I got from it. It has a very distinctive Fujifilm kind of color science, I guess. I was using the Provia film sim, which is I guess their natural color profile, but I liked it. It was nice. And it was a very pleasant. I was very pleased with the images overall. And so I have no I don't know, I just didn't like the X100 itself. It just didn't fit me. I think, to me, if I said if I'm gonna carry a little small camera like this, I'd rather take because it's slim, right? Because of the lens is fixed. I'd rather take my TG5. I know it's a much smaller sensor and, image quality wise, it's not gonna compare in low light and things like that, but it had a zoom, the TG5 has a zoom lens on it, so I can zoom in and out. And with a little processing, I can get very good images, acceptable to my eye. Anyway, again, it's all subjective. But the TG5, I think, takes fantastic images. And for street work and things, you can't get it's even smaller than the X100V, right? In a lot of ways. So to me, the TG5 kind of suited my needs for a compact camera that a lot of people buy the X100V for. If I'm going to use a Fujifilm, I feel like the X-T30 is a good compromise. It's it's not as beefy as like an X-T4, X-T3 type camera. It's interchangeable lens versus, a little tiny X100V. I just wasn't just didn't fit me right. Uh, so I think if the X100V was smaller, like say a GR3 type size, a GR3 would be interesting, but then no EVF. I don't know if I could live with a camera without an EVF. That would be a little tough. I mean, I get away. I do it. I'm content with the TG5 not having an EVF because it's so compact. But I don't know. GR3 again. I think the interchangeable lens thing would bother me a little bit. I don't mind hanging a camera off my shoulder when I go out. It doesn't need to be in my pocket, right? Uh, I don't get that fascination of I can put this camera in my pocket thing. It's like just you know I got here's this is my everyday camera, so to speak, my Olympus NF, right? And when I go out and take pictures, this is it. My little paracord strap and you know, so to me this is my everyday camera. Um I mean if it was between this and an X100V, no question I would take this every time. Actually, almost any camera I would take over an X100V because I just disliked it so much. The controls, the handling, the size, the fixed lens, all of those things just bothered me. Like the TG5, at least it has a zoom lens. It's not fixed. I can zoom in and out. So yeah, I can't think of any camera I would want that I wouldn't take over an X100V. Come to think of it. I mean, of course, there's cameras that suck. That the X100V is much better, but just generally speaking, mainstream things that are in that price range. Yeah, and that camera's expensive, right? What's an XM100V go for? Isn't it like 1,500 bucks or something? Um, Let me look it up. I'm curious. X100V. 1400. Okay. 1400 bucks. Yeah, it just didn't 1400 bucks. There's a lot of the cameras I would pick over that. Mainly the interchangeable lens part, right? I'd even prefer a bridge camera. I just can't be fixed to a single lens when I buy a camera. I mean, I try to go out with only one lens when I go out to shoot, but if I'm gonna spend 1400 bucks and I wanna use the camera for something other than a 50 millimeter, you know, I have that option, but you don't have that option with the X100V. I mean, you can always crop in. I don't know. I'm overthinking it again. Just buy what you like. If you like the X100V, just get it and go out and shoot. Don't worry about it. You know, um, I can appreciate why people really like that camera. Again, the Fuji colors, the Fuji colors, and I guess a lot of people prefer the optical OVF, optical viewfinder as well. That feature built in. And they like the compact size, but still having, a decent size, what is it, APS-C sensor in there so that they get better low light performance, deeper pixels, so to speak. So there's a lot to like about it, but just for me, I can't be stuck with a fixed lens camera. I'd have to at least have a zoom, a bridge camera, or like my TG5, or I don't know, it's tough. But anyway, like I said, I'm overthinking it, right? If you like the camera, just get it. Don't make life complicated. Try to find peace and joy in everything you do, and the world will be a better place, I think. 100V is yeah, okay. So they did fix the lens. I think I did hear that they fixed the lens so that it's very, very sharp, wide open even. Uh, and of course, stop down even sharper, right? Oh, okay. So Robin had the same one I did, the X100F. Um, So Robin and I are pretty much on the same page for a lot of the reasons we didn't like that particular form factor. But like I said, even if it was sharp wide open, I don't think that would have let encouraged me to keep it, you know. I had problems that was not the deal breaker. The lens was not the deal breaker. The image quality was not the deal breaker. It was kind of everything else about the camera. And but congratulations on your new camera. Go out and take some pictures. Um, have fun. I mean, that's why we're here on this earth is to enjoy life and everything that God gave us. Rob, it used to happen to me when I was in the band. I used to get so embarrassed. Oh, that's cool. What did you play? What instrument? Let me guess, guitar, right? A lot of photographers are guitarists too, I found. Musicians in general, but guitar I found more often than other instruments. Maybe because it's just more popular, right? I mean, you're not going to find too many bongo players doing anything but bongos. Phones fit into pockets and they're constantly improving. Yes. I'm trying to use my phone more for scouting now. Like I took a couple images yesterday, uh, just to get a feel for the space. And then I'm gonna come back with like a regular camera, right? Let me see if I can find those. Yeah, it's here. This street is kind of interesting. It's pretty much untouched. Um, but I found this building mildly interesting. I mean, it's been sort of, what's the word? Renovated on the outside. Like, I seriously doubt this stucco or whatever this is on the outside is original. There's probably brick underneath, and they just covered it with this stucco or whatever it is. But this building and the building next to it, I thought was interesting. Did I get a shot of that? Let me see. Yeah, the building next to it was just a car wash that's coming. So once they take these signs down, right, we're gonna have a more monochromatic type image. I was thinking, and I like the architecture, it's just very blocky, right? Just squares. So I like the geometry and I like the monochromatic kind of look to it. And then look at the door texture in the door here, the steel door. So there was a lot of things I liked about this particular image that I think when I come back, if I ever go back to this spot, I want to plan a shot that I think would be something I like. I mean, this is not a shot that I would ever post anywhere or tell anybody about, right? But this is a shot for me to kind of research or analyze the scene to see what potential there is to make this shot because I just like it. And I took this shot because this was some advice that I got from you guys, right? The viewers was if you see a picture or if you see a scene that's interesting to you, take a picture of it and then look at it later, right? And I think that's something that the cell phone is perfect for because I was just pumping gas in my car. And while I was pumping gas, I looked across the street and I said, that building's interesting. And I had my phone in my hand, so I just took a picture of it. And now I'm going to go back and look at it like I am now, for example. I'm looking at it, I'm seeing more and more interesting things about it. Like I like this square, this geometry here in the street. It kind of stands out, but it matches the square geometry of this building. And I bet if this were, let me see if I can edit this a tiny bit. Let's put this in black and white. Uh, yeah, this is good. So we'll put this in black and white. And then what else can I do? I can crop, right? It needs to be straightened out. Let me straighten it out. There's some distortion errors that I can't do in this software. Uh, how do you crop? I've never used this tool before. This is the Google thing. Got to be a way to crop. Oh, here, 4 by 3. Well, that's what it is already. I can crop in. I even like this car being here. Get a little street action going. Ooh, a red truck. Man, you don't see red cars very often unless they're pickup trucks. Usually, if you see a red car in the United States, it's a pickup truck. There's not too many other red cars. I'm guessing something in this area. And then I need to fix the geometry's way off. I need to correct for this. Anyway, this is what I'm going to do is once this sign is gone and the place is open for business, maybe there's people walking around, there's cars getting washed, things like that. Um, I think this would be an interesting shot. I'm just guessing. That was one that I did. There's the other one. You can see my reflection here. This was where I ate breakfast after the photo walk. But again, you can see I like geometry because I'm an architectural type guy, right? That's why I got into real estate photography. But I took a picture of this here because this lighting here hanging down these 3 blocks. So you got rule of odds. You got these double bases down here, double bases. So we have some symmetry, right? Left to right, there's some symmetry with the lamps and the plants in the bottom, and then the square architecture. So again, this would be another good black and white photo, I think. something like this, and then I need to properly take an image here. But if I can, I'll put my, polarizer on my camera, and hopefully I can see through the glass, because you can almost make out some people sitting here, right? Uh, so it'd be interesting to get this shot, um, with a polarizer on so I can see through the glass and see the people, enjoying their breakfast, and then frame the shot so I get a little better symmetry. Like, I might cut this door out, uh, something like this. I don't think this software has keystoning correction, but something a little bit more like this without that keystoning problem, and a polarizer so I can see through the glass and the people enjoying their meal, and then maybe adding a, uh, I don't know, some kind of, I don't see any sepia, but like a sepia tone or something, right? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Uh, my point being is that you can, I'm using my phone and just taking pictures of anything I see is kind of interesting. And then I'm going to look at them like this and maybe plan out my shots, right? And say, okay, that might even make like for one of those videos, might make for a good video that I plan a shot and then show you how I framed it, from scratch, right? Like I am here. And then going out and taking the picture. What's his name does that a lot, but he does it with film. Why does his name escape me? Uh, but you guys know who I'm talking about. That guy with that does the on-site behind the scenes type photography, but he uses these large format film cameras. I'm so sorry I forgot your name. Not that he watches my channel, but I just don't know. I can't remember his name now. And by the way, you can turn on the focus acquired beep. Oh, you can. That's good to know. I'll have to figure that out. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm gonna figure it out. I didn't I couldn't find it that day, but it makes sense that you should be able to, but I didn't see it. Oh, you put the thing here, anti-shock silent mode settings. Okay, it's kind of buried underneath anti-shock. All right, that makes sense. All right, spoiler. He told us how. That's good. Good to know. All right. He says I found I use the 35 millimeter 70% of my photography, and if it's smaller camera, can't read it. Um, that's the one I grab most of the time. I'm loving these controls more than I ever thought I would. This may get me out of. Oh, okay. Yeah, someone asked me once, what should be their first camera, and they never owned a digital camera before. They've been shooting film. And I said, the XT4 or XT3, whatever it was at the time, because this was about 2 years ago. I said is very, very similar to a film camera controls. You have the aperture dial on the lens usually. A lot of the lenses in Fujifilm have the aperture dial on the lens. You have the shutter speed and ISO on the top. Because a lot of film cameras, they had an ISO dial just so you knew what ISO you were shooting because it's film. But uh, the X100V, I think you pull up and turn, right? To set the ISO, I think. I think that might have been one of the other problems I was having with it. But anyway, I think the controls are very, very similar to film cameras. And that I felt like that transition from a film camera to a digital camera, Fujifilm, uh, probably your best choice, right? In that respect. And the form factor is very similar, right? There's a little bit of a grip on the XT3, but it's not huge, right? And it looks very vintage on top of that. So Uh, I felt like if you were transitioning from a film camera, Fujifilm may be a good alternative or a good first step, depending on your budget. Because again, you're talking $1,000+ for brand new Fujis. Because some people, they're not going to buy a used camera. I don't care. They don't care how much money you're going to save. They're not going to buy a used camera. They want to buy new. Because there's certainly, and then there's some film photographers that, the Olympus EM10 is their first digital camera, and they're very happy with it. But the learning curve's a little bit steeper, right? Where are the controls? You know, kind of, right? There's no aperture ring on the lenses. The dials on the top are not labeled. Most of the time they're just dials, but there's no label on them, right? So there's the learning curve right there, just in the ergonomics of the camera is different. And then, of course, the menu system and all of that. That learning curve is the same regardless of camera brand, but um, okay. I keep thinking about a cheap older Fuji that has color science filters to bump around with. Probably a darker lens. Yeah, I mean the XT1. I bet that's pretty cheap. XE3 or XE2, those are very cheap. I mean, I bought the Fuji because not specifically for the color film simulations, although that was probably the number two reason. The number one reason I bought a Fuji because I wanted to experience shooting with an X-trans sensor. Because I thought that the the technology is different than our standard Bayer type sensors that we have in just about every other camera. So the combination of an X-trans sensor and the Fujifilm colors is what kind of pushed me towards getting at least one Fuji in my shelf. So I went with the XT30 because it was sort of the cheapest at the time. I had to do it over again. I would probably get the what is it, the XS10 that has a grip and more conventional dials. um, and I was shopping for an older Fuji X70 before I got the XT30. But they wanted almost as much for an X70 as a brand new XT30. So I said, well, I'll just get an XT30 then. I wonder what an X70 is going for now. Let me just look it up real quick. Gee, film. This I thought would be an interesting camera. Yeah, 704. It's still selling for a lot. 714 used, right? Let's look at an X dash T30. Oh, not 530, T30. XT30 is selling for less than an X70 used, right? Right here with a lens, 900. I don't know what lens. Oh, that's the crap lens. But, 500, 400, 800 with a lens. Um, so this was this is what I mean. Um, $800 for an X70 lens. $900. Why? Why is this camera so expensive? Uh, I mean, if this camera was $200 or $300, I'd have been very, very happy. Um, and that's what it should be. It shouldn't be freaking $800. That's crazy. So yeah, maybe a used I don't know what a used XT1 is going for. $400? Are you kidding me? All right. XE4 or XE2. How about an XE2? What the heck is going on here? Why are these so expensive? Oh, here's a used one for 260, but it's probably broken. What? Oh, there's an XT10 for 325. Okay. XT10 may be the way to go for a used Fuji. My God. What? They have lost their mind. What the heck is an Olympus EM10 Mark II going for? 200 bucks. Well, let's see. 250, 300, 200, 360. So let's say 300 bucks for one in good condition, right? Um, I don't know who that is. 260. But this is ridiculous. $429 for an XE2? That's outrageous. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are Fuji's worth $400 to $800 used when you can get an Olympus for like half that? I mean, you can get an EM1 Mark II for like 600 bucks, and that to me is a much better camera than any of the old used Fujis, in my opinion. Wow, that was eye-opening. Like I can't believe I think the X70 right now is selling more now than it was when I was looking at it when I bought the XT30. That's crazy. So maybe an XT10, Adam. That would be a good cheap used one. You know, it's got the 16 megapixel X-Trans sensor and everything, but I hear they're going to ban. I did hear that yesterday. They're trying to reverse that. I mean, that's what, 12 years from now? 13 years from now? That's not going to happen. Robin Wong said the original lens was a dog wide open. Okay. It was a little soft. I'll agree with them. I wouldn't call it a dog, but it wasn't great wide open. I know that. Oh yeah, the GPS location too, right? I forgot about that. So what I can do is I don't even have to do that. Google does everything. That's why they know everything about me. They know more about me than I know about myself, that's for sure. Tony Sweet was also a musician drummer before going into photography, the same with Alistair Ben. And also Ted Forbes, art of photography. He was in a band. I don't know what came first, but he's only doing photography now. He's not doing the band anymore. And I've been watching a lot of Ted Forbes lately. It'll be interesting how it's illuminated at night. That's a good point. Go out at night. Like I said, I'd like to get those like opening soon signs out of the way before I take a picture of it. But I thought it was an interesting building. Okay, Peter, we'll see you later. Thank you. Thank you very much. They're okay. They called it ASA back then. You think? On the film cameras, yeah, they did call it ASA, but I thought yeah, it does say ASA on here. My it's my Hassie. I'm gonna get a strap for it here soon. I mean, I use a rapid strap now, black rapid strap, which is fine, but I might get like a regular leather strap for it. Or it's an older film camera. I never went to ISO? I sworn I seen cameras that had ISO dials, not ASA. Well, anyway, I'll 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 scratch that itch after the after the stream. I don't want to bore you guys to death me looking up ASA versus ISO on my cameras. Um, where's my glasses? There's a question here. Are the aperture controls on those Fuji lenses actual physical aperture controls, or are they like the focus by wire controls? I don't know. I bought a new lens for my Fuji, but it doesn't have an aperture ring on it. But my other lens, the kit lens that came with it, has an aperture ring on it. I'm pretty sure it's by wire, but I can double check. Lens is buried all the way in the back. Never used it. Okay, this was the kit lens that came with my XT30. This probably has less than 100 pictures on it. So yeah, it's by wire because I'm turning it now and it does a full 360, the aperture ring. So it's definitely by wire. At least this lens is, and I guarantee all of the Fujifilm lenses are. This is my 18 to 55 f2.8 to f4. Has optical image stabilization, 58 millimeter filter thread, super EBC. I guess has some good coatings on it. I didn't like this lens. It's kind of bulky for an XT30. I think this weighs almost as much as the camera itself. It doesn't look that big when I'm holding it here, but when you put it on the camera, it feels like a brick. So I got the cheap plastic Fantastic here, 35 millimeter f2, which is a 50 millimeter equivalent. Now this is a nice size. You can see, man, there's no aperture ring on it. But if I put these two next to each other, look at the difference in size. Like twice as big, right? I don't know if you can see that with this dark blue background I've been using. It's this has a 43 millimeter filter thread. This has a 58 millimeter filter thread. Just to give you an idea, of the size. It's just not even, let me line up the mounts right there. And I don't have the lens hood on either, right? It's collapsed in. So yeah, when I put that lens on the Fujifilm, my XT30, I didn't want to take the camera out at all. But it's fine. Took me forever. I told you guys last week, took me forever to figure out how to do double exposures. But I like this camera overall. It underexposes a bit. I don't know why. I have to dial in +1 EV a lot of times. In fact, when I picked up the camera, it was at +1 2/3 EV. So whatever picture I took last with this, I had to overexpose it because the meter inside it just underexposes a lot. Uh, but yeah, it's fine. This I was much happier with this camera than the X100V. Um, Like I said, it just comes with the interchangeable lens. That's probably the main reason. And if you want image stabilization, you just buy a lens that has image stabilization in it, right? Did I put my glasses? Nick Carver. That's his name. It just came to me when I was talking about the guy that does the behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, but he does the in the field type photography with the large format camera. He has a terrific channel. You guys should check it out. You want some inspiration to go out and shoot? You got to watch his channel. It's just. I mean, he's shooting film and he goes through everything that he goes through a lot of things that we would never have to do as digital photographers, right? But could. But the way he frames the shots and thinks about the locations and the times that he goes and the scouting and everything that he does is very inspiring. And he's fun to watch, he's entertaining. Not in a slapstick way like Casey over at Camera Conspiracies. He's just more of a more of a dry humor, but it's still humor. He's a fun guy to watch. Uh oh, another person refused to buy used equipment. See? There's just some people, I'm fine with it. You know, I it's never I can't say I got a perfect track record of buying used equipment that works every time, but and it says the new XC4, people are complaining about it being stripped down, so people want the older ones. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Fuji products that much, other than, I shoot with this sometimes, not much. Uh, but I'm definitely not in their I'm not a Fuji fanboy, so to speak. So I'm not gonna know the nuances, right? Like if you ask me about Olympus OM1 versus EM1 Mark III versus EM5 Mark III versus EM10 Mark II, yeah, I can bore you to tears about that, right? But Fujifilm, if somebody asks me what's the difference between an XT30 and an XT4, I'm like, well, XT4 is a little bigger. I couldn't tell you the specific differences, right? I think the record limits on the video are different. Like this is 10 minutes versus you can do 30 minutes on the anyway, but yeah. Ah, great Vanzini, guitar guy. Awesome. You still say ASA sometimes? Really? Man. Okay, here's someone that knows, right? With Fuji lenses, it varies by lens. Some are hard f-stops, others are f-stop by wire. Okay, so the one I just showed you, this kit lens is by wire, right? Yeah, I didn't know because like I said, I'm just not a big Fuji guy. And good morning, Darko. Good to see you. I'm doing well, thank you. Hope you're doing well. And here's what ASA stands for in DIN. So one is I don't know what that is. Anyway, there it is for those that want to know. And it says I considered the XT30 over the 100V, but their small primes were horrible compared to the much larger 1.4 primes, and I wanted small. Okay. Um, for me, it was just about being able to use a different lens. I'm content with f2. I mean, I've been shooting a lot wide open lately, but that shot of the car wash and the buildings and things, I'm always going to be shooting at f5.6 or something anyway, so I can use these little tiny f2 lenses. I'd say 90% of my shots I can probably just shoot, at f4, f5.6. Certainly my real estate stuff, right? I'm shooting at f5.6 by default. Um, okay, I think I've touched on everything that's new with me. You guys have shared a few things. We have a new Fujifilm user. It's pretty awesome. I don't know. I should start doing some more Fujifilm stuff. Maybe Panasonic. I really like my S5. There was a viewer in here last week that said they switched to the S5 because of me. Uh, I get it. It's like takes amazing images, clean, sharp. Just like this XT30 when I took it on the photo walk. Um, I'll show you a couple of pictures. There's a lot of people they don't read the description, but oh no, this was my Pen F. Yeah, this is a Fujifilm shot that I really like. I took with my Fujifilm. This is the XT30 and the 35 millimeter. This exact setup here. And that was my Pen F. I've been using my Pen F a lot lately. This was the Fuji. That was my EM1, I think. Oh no, that's the OM1. I only posted 2 Fuji shots? I thought I had more. No, these are all Pen F or these are all Olympus type shots. Um, I did have I was practicing my flash yesterday. I failed though. This is in broad daylight, so of course I'm crushing the ambient light, but I was trying to layer the lighting with flash, right? Where you have sort of a natural vignette using flash rather than adding it in post to see the difference in how it would look, and I just failed miserably. But I had 2 flashes back to back on this shot, and I was trying to layer it, um, so that I had one smaller flash illuminating my face and then a larger flash illuminating the rest of my body, and then I was shooting, uh, I was underexposing the ambient light because if I push the ambient light, you'll see it's not even it's not even pushing. It's totally and this might be the JPEG, that's why. No, that's the raw image. But anyway, I was trying so hard. I took a lot of pictures yesterday trying to layer it, and it was a total. I just could not get the look I wanted. Um, I was having a hard time. It was so bright out. You can see I'm like I was squinting because the sun was right in my face. That's one of the things I did yesterday is I was practicing my flash photography. What was I going to show you when I came in here? Maybe it was can't remember what I can't remember now. But I've been when I get inspired to I really want to get good at flash and portrait photography. So I've been, when I get a chance, I try to experiment, doing self portraits and with the flash gear that I have and I'm looking at maybe getting some different light modifiers because right now I just have a shoot-through umbrella, a silver umbrella, and a 24-inch softbox. I only have one of each, right? Which is probably good enough. I'm looking at maybe getting one more modifier a little bit smaller, like that I can put directly on the flash. Uh, but I'm practicing. I'm practicing my flash photography because I wanna do another mini class or another workshop, mini workshop for the photo club next week. And so I got to be able to do it consistently, right? So that when I show somebody, it doesn't come out bad. I mean, it's okay to get a misfire every now and then, but you know, when you're trying to teach somebody, you got to have one of those what I like to call a sling moment. You need to be that guy on Sling. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen those Sling commercials where somebody just comes out of nowhere like they know what they're talking about, but they really don't know anything, right? Uh, but it's just if you guys don't have Sling commercials where you are, just look it up on YouTube, Sling commercials, and oh my God, they just crack me up. Uh, but I wanted to add some variety to the standard portrait shot. When I do the workshop, I'll say, okay, this is the standard two light setup. Here's a three light setup. Okay, now let me show you something else really neat. Now I was going to try and layer some flashes to show some interesting effects, but I'm just not able to do it. So I might not be able to do that part of the workshop. And if you guys are in the area, I know there's some viewers here that are local. I don't charge anything for the workshop. Just come on out and I'll be happy to help you out, teach you the basic techniques, and then work with you individually with your camera. I can figure out most cameras now because I have them all. But just check out the Virginia Beltway Club that I showed earlier. Um, And it says, I had a great evening shooting two bands at the show. Awesome. They even had a limo pick me up to take me to the show. Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Man. And Zena says, I want to shoot flowers like you, but in black and white. Need to rewatch. Yeah. Everything I did in my flower vid is pretty much what I showed people at the workshop. Just crush the ambient light, then use a flash to illuminate or flashlight. If it's not too bright out, you can get away with just using a flashlight. I recommend at least 250 lumen flashlight, but if you can get a 500 lumen flashlight, that's even better. That'll be more than bright enough uh, until it gets too bright out. Okay, I think I'll call it here. So thanks everybody for coming in today. I really appreciate it. As always, it's been a lot of fun for me. I hope you had fun as well. And I'll be back at least next Sunday, but I'll try and do a Thursday show maybe. I have to see. I have some things lined up this coming week that I have to get done. That's why there hasn't been a lot of videos on my channel lately this month because I've been just busy with this other project and my normal photo jobs, uh, which is good. I mean, it's still not enough, but something's better than nothing, right? Then one guy he had the nerve of saying, "Beggars can't be choosers." That made me upset a little bit for one of the photo jobs. But anyway, let's not be negative here. You guys have a great weekend. I'll see you again soon.